Today's episode is all about changes and updates that you need to make on your website as we are going into this new year. Welcome to the Up in My Business podcast with me, Lex Lancaster, where you'll get an inside look at all things tech, business, and my life as a physical therapist turned digital operations expert. You'll hear all about my lessons as a business owner, the ins and outs of tech for your business, and more. From SEO, websites, and email marketing to automations, launches, and copywriting, I've got you. I'm so excited you're here. Let's dive in. Many of you are familiar with the name, of course, because all I do is talk about them. But if it's new to you, Jane is a HIPAA-compliant, all-in-one practice management software and the sponsor of the Up in My Business podcast. The team at Jane knows that your time is valuable, and they've designed online intake forms to help you reduce admin work and so that you can take back your treatment time. Whether you need to collect patient or client data, insurance policy information, health history, or consents, Jane's online intake forms offer a safe and secure way to gather everything you need before your patients even walk through the door. You can also collect payment details securely through your intake form via Jane's PCI compliant payment solution, saving your patients time at checkout and a ton of time for you as well. It is the absolute best feature. To learn more about how Jane's intake forms can help you and your practice, head to jane.app/guide to book a one-on-one demo with a member of the Jane team. If you're ready to get started, you can use the code LEX1MO. Again, that's LEX1MO at the time of sign up to get a 1-month grace period applied to your new Jane account. Welcome back to another episode of Up in My Business. I am recording this episode just before the new year. So when you listen to this, or if you listen to this on January 1st, Happy New Year. It is also, if you're listening, please go wish Shantae a happy birthday. It is her birthday today on the 1st of January. So if you have a moment, please go give her some birthday love. It's going to be a great day. I don't think we have much planned because this weekend we have a few things. So I know that I always say, obviously this episode's going to launch after this happens, but I'm going to whisper because we do live in the same house. But on Sunday, we have a surprise party planned for her at volleyball. And then Sunday night, we have a party for all of her friends that are coming over to our place, which is sort of a big deal because we didn't do a housewarming party. I mean, we're still buying furniture and making small updates as time goes. The place is just so big compared to what Shantae was living in. Not that it was it went from a 2-bedroom to a 4-bedroom. So we have so much extra space, and not to mention the space is very differently shaped. So our dining room is huge here. So we had to buy a whole new dining room table. Anyway, that's besides the point. But we did not host a housewarming party yet because we just are still, moving in, I guess, quote unquote. But we have a couple furniture pieces coming in the next week. We did buy a dining room table finally, but that will not be here for the party on Sunday. But we did get today, it's I don't know what you call it, but mid-century modern type decorating styles, what we're into. And it's oh my God, what do you call it? It's the word dresser keeps coming into my mind. That's not what it is. It's it's a table that you put in the dining room, but it's going to house the alcohol and the bourbon cups or whatever they're called. I'm sure whoever drinks bourbon right now is laughing at me, and whoever knows, it's called a side table. That's what it is. But the side table. So anyway, that just got delivered. And then next week we have the dining room table finally getting delivered. So Sunday night's going to be really fun because we're going to have all her friends over to celebrate her birthday. And I'm just really excited. We weren't going to do much because she's definitely someone who does not want a big thing for her birthday, but I figured it would be nice to do something, and she was okay with it. So when she said it's a go, then we're going all out. So today we're going grocery shopping. It's Friday, so we're going grocery shopping to get all the things ready. But I will keep you updated on Sunday morning as well. So I will let you know about how all the things work out and what we end up, I am sure there'll be pictures everywhere, but yeah, I'm just really looking forward to this weekend. So if you do have a chance to go wish her happy birthday, I'm sure she would love it, and I would genuinely appreciate it as well, showing her all the birthday love. Um, I don't want to go through too many business and personal updates, to be completely honest with you. Personal stuff. Obviously, you know that we went home to my family's house for Christmas. It was the best. I loved getting to see them. My mom is the sweetest. She made Shantae, or had Shantae's name on a stocking. So she actually gets it made by the person who made my brother and my stockings literally when we were babies. So the same woman, her daughter is now making them, because I think the woman is very much so retired and older, and she taught her daughter how to make the stocking. So she had a stocking with Shantae's name on it, and it was just so fun. And I got to see my high school friends and introduce them to Shantae. So it was a great, great trip. The only thing that was a nightmare was the flights back. One of our flights got delayed 6 hours. It was our first flight. So obviously that would mean we missed our connecting flight. So I happened to be at my phone when the notification came in, and ended up getting us on a flight that left 45 minutes later. We did have a longer layover in JFK, but it's all good. And then on the flight from JFK to California, it was just a nightmare. A baby literally cried for 5 hours, and like, I feel bad for the parents. I do. Like, I know that they obviously are doing everything they can to make the baby not cry, but I also wonder, like, is that baby uncomfortable? But that baby cried, and it was like 2 seats ahead of us. So it was just a really, really long flight after being up at 3 a.m. Eastern time. And then we got in, I think, at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So it was 12 hours of travel. So it was a long day. But regardless, we got home, had plenty of time to like get things together, relax. This week has been very relaxing. I did schedule a couple client things that I'm actually going to be pushing into this week. So if you're listening on January 1st, it'll be this week, just because the work that I do, I've learned that I have to show up with a certain mental capacity, especially when I'm doing SEO work. And this week just wasn't it. And like when I show up, I want to make sure I'm doing 110% for my retainer clients. So I am pushing things to next week to make sure I show up with that energy. But yeah, so that's kind of personal stuff. Really nothing else to update on as far as personal life. I mean, travel is at a halt right now. We don't have anything planned in the near future. So that's really nice, knowing that we'll be around, and yeah, just taking the time to obviously enjoy this space and being home. And there really is no place like home. So just really grateful for that. Business wise, I'm doing I have my hands on my head right now as I'm recording this. I'm updating so many things this week, and I don't know if I'll get everything done. And I mean, this week, like, it's Friday, and then next week I'm also updating a bunch of stuff. I have to I have to record a few updated things for SEO school. I am finally I have a service brochure that people get when they do a discovery call with me, and it's all digital, but I also wanted to have a printable PDF form. So I'm working on that. I'm updating my prices, changing my prices, creating different packages so that services are very much so siloed. So that will be all announced, I believe, and advertised. So right now I don't really post about my services on Instagram. I really just lead with like, here's some free content. So I might start posting a little bit more about my services, so that way people are more aware of like what they can actually book with me. So I know I've been saying that. If you've been listening to the podcast, you've heard me say this multiple times, but I haven't found a good way that I want to do it yet, simply because I'm rearranging things so that things are more siloed. Because right now it's like I do everything except for Facebook and Google ads. But then in this industry, it's like, well, people don't know what they need. So I typically will offer a discovery call because I want to know what you're looking for before I tell you to go book something. So going to be working on, creating some silos to make it easier for, basically like understanding what people need to book. So anyway, yeah, that's kind of business stuff where I'm at. My word for the year, I'm one of those people who doesn't think about my word for the year, or I think about it, but I never actually choose one. And I'm always like, this sounds good and this sounds good, but I never make the decision. This year, I think I'm going to do Elevate. So Elevate is for me. So Laura Jean, I will tag her and I will reference her in the show notes. she said that we need to define the word for ourselves on the Mafia Dinner, which is Shantae's community. And for me, elevate will be one, elevating the client experience, because I've been doing the same things for years now, and I see where I could make the client experience better. And for me, having a client experience that's really good, it was a value of mine when I first started this business, and also is one of the things that I fight against. Because the thing is in this industry, there's a lot of people who get taken advantage of, especially with websites. And my goal was to essentially not do that, right? I mean, obviously no one sets out to take advantage of people, but I know where people are coming from in the health and wellness sphere, and just knowing that in any way, shape, or form that I can alleviate stress, decrease fear, make people feel like I've got you, I want to do that. So there are some spaces where I know that I could do better. Things are fine and work great right now, but I know that I can change a few things just to make that experience better. So I'm going to be doing some of that. And, I would encourage you to also, and I'll talk about this, but I'll encourage you to also look at your systems and processes and see if there's anything that you could or want to change. But that's kind of like where I'm at right now. And elevate also, I should finish that thought. Elevate also for me in my personal life is just noticing small details. So elevate in general is like to bring up, right? So for me, I'm going to bring up, if you will, the importance of small details rather than just the big picture. I will say that if I could give you a theme of my, past, I would say 10 years or so, maybe even more, because I don't know if I can recall my high school, college year. I'm not really sure, but if I could give you like a theme, it would just be that I noticed the big picture, and I'm not always taking in small details because I'm always calculating what's next, is kind of like where my brain is feeling. So I want to be able to elevate, if you will, the small details in every experience. So that's what elevate means to me. And I'm looking forward to having that word for this year and really leaning into that word. So that's kind of my word of the year. Finally chose one. And like I said, I never do. So that's pretty good for me. So I'd love to know if you have a word of the year. What is it? What does it mean to you? Are you ready to really lean into that word? Do you still need a little bit more time? Because I can understand that too. But if you are choosing a word, let me know if you chose one. I'd love to hear what you chose. All right. So with that being said, I'm going to jump into the episode. I'm going to actually probably be able to fly through this pretty quick because this is very, self-explanatory. I'm simply going to give you a checklist of the things that you should go and check on, if you will, for your website as we're approaching this new year, as you're listening. So, number one, I want you to do a website walkthrough. What does the flow feel like? Does it flow well? Does it make sense? If you're on your home page and people are given a link to your about page, does it make sense to do that? Are the calls to action really leading them where you want them to go? And when we talk about a website walkthrough, I do want you to look at this on desktop and mobile because the layout is different. And if something looks bad on mobile, this is bad because they say more than 80% of people look at your website on mobile. So I want that mobile experience to be really good. So I want you to do a website walkthrough, check out the flow, check out the buttons, where do they go, and look at on desktop and mobile. And with that being said, I'm saying to check out the buttons. I want you to check for broken links while you're there. Is there a link that's no longer working? And change it to update that. Number two, you want to do a copy, read, and audit. So does the copy, the words on your website make sense? Does that copy still fit what you're doing? Are you changing the wording around it? Can you better describe something? Can you add a little bit more detail to alleviate fear around what someone reading that website might be having? Can you give more logistical concepts that might help people choose that service? So just really reading through your copy and auditing it to see, does it make sense? And then changing it. Simple as that. And you can also look at that like, let's audit our pictures. Does this picture make sense for this service? Third thing, we want to add services if needed. So if you've added services in the last year, sometimes people will add them and then they won't update their website to reflect that. So make sure you're adding new services if needed. Number 4, change your prices if needed. Super simple, but if you are changing your prices, you should be changing these on your website as well. And my thoughts are, if you have prices, you should be having them on your website. I know that there's another, I've talked about this before with Cash-Based PT, and I know that there are some some people who don't put their website or their prices on their website. It's totally okay. It's your choice. I do find that most people I talk to get frustrated with that. So for what it's worth, I do think that there is value in having a discovery call and finding out your prices, but I am also the person who has my hourly rate on my website. So I do think that you need to consider having your hourly rate and also consider your own experience. So if you are annoyed because you can't find a price, other people are going to be annoyed by it too. So just take that into account. So change your prices or add your prices on your website if you don't already have them. Number 5, double check that your location and contact info is correct. I've had people, not update their website for a new location, or their phone number changed, their email changed, anything of the sort. So make sure your location and contact info is correct. Number 6, make sure your copyright symbol is changed to the current year. I just did an Instagram post today, Friday, on this. So I'll link this post in the show notes, but make sure that you update your copyright symbol in your footer to reflect the current year. And then lastly, number 7, assess your processes and client experience. So for that, this is simple. Like you know what you're doing. You know the experience that people are getting when they are investing in your services, and you know what questions people have. Are the questions always the same? Is there some potential to make a FAQ that you don't currently have, or FAQ section, FAQ booklet that you don't currently have that will help people, and so you don't need to keep repeating yourself? Are there emails you send out all the time over and over again? Can we optimize those? Can we make them an automation? Can we add them into a welcome packet? What can we do with your processes and client experience to just make everything better? I think that when we first start a business, we're starting the business and we're doing what works in that moment. And then when you do it over and over again, you see where there are gaps or where there are ways to improve. So just take that knowledge that you have and make changes. If you're a new business owner, just make notes. If you get the same question 3 times, this is an issue. You know that you need to answer that question somewhere. If you are constantly sending the same email, make a note of it. Why am I sending that email? How can I make it so I don't need to send that email all the time anymore? And if someone asks, if they say to you openly, I didn't like this part of the process, how can we make that process better? If you need to give people a better timeline for services, do that. There are so many ways that we can assess processes and client experience. So I would invite you to do that. And timeline wise for all of these things, because I know people are going to ask, I would aim to have all of this stuff completed by the end of January. Ideally, it would be December to January when you're doing this. And maybe even like the last week of December you would do it. But with this list, I also think it's fully okay to do this within the first month of January, and you'd still be in a really great spot. Unless you're changing your prices. If you're changing your prices, you should have let people know last year. So I'm not telling you to change your prices right now and let people know, but next year you can definitely plan to do all these things and change your prices and sending out an email to your people prior to January starting. So that way you can actually change them and update them on your website. But this just right here, what I'm saying is just to update them if you have changed them. So in summary, we're going to do a website walkthrough, desktop and mobile, making sure the flow is good, making sure the copy is good. Do your words make sense? Change things accordingly. Add services if you need to. Change your prices if you need to, or add them onto your website if you don't have them already. Check for broken links. Double check that your location and contact info is correct. Make sure that you update your copyright symbol to reflect the current year, and then assess your processes and client experience. I told you it was going to be fast today, mostly because I want you to listen to the full episode, and I know how much people value the quick episodes. So that's all I got. Looking forward to a great 2024. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast in 2023. I launched this back in March of 2023, and it has been a total game changer. So if you're someone who has listened since then, know how much I appreciate you. If you're new, welcome. I'm so excited for you to hear more. And yeah, that's all I've got for you. Thank you so much for listening. I will catch you next time.